The Discovery. The holographic display on the bridge of the Earth Alliance vessel Artemis flickered with anomalous energy readings that Captain Alina Reyes had never seen before. Her ship was 6 months into a routine survey mission of the Cygnus arm when the sensors picked up the signal, a gravitational distortion pattern that shouldn't exist, especially not in an allegedly uninhabited system. "What am I looking at, Dr. Chen?" Reyes asked, her dark eyes fixed on the swirling patterns of light. Dr. Mei Chen, the ship's chief science officer, adjusted her glasses, an affectation she maintained despite having perfect genetically engineered vision. "It's a gravity manipulation field, Captain. Sophisticated one, too. No known civilization in the Alliance database has this kind of technology." Reyes frowned, her weathered face creasing with concern. At 48, she had spent most of her life exploring the edges of human-controlled space, but nothing had prepared her for this. Originating from HD 219,134. "Yes, Captain. The fourth planet in the system." Reyes's frown deepened. HD 219,134 was a red dwarf star with several rocky planets, none of which should have been habitable. More importantly, none of which should have contained advanced technological civilizations capable of manipulating gravity itself. "Historical records?" she asked, already accessing her neural implant to search for information about the system. Lieutenant Commander Jackson, her XO, responded before the database query completed. According to records, a colony ship, the Esperanza, was sent there about 300 years ago, during the expansion crisis. All contact was lost shortly after landing. The planet was deemed uninhabitable, and the colonists were presumed dead. No recovery mission was ever launched. 300 years, Reyes murmured. "And yet, something's very much alive down there." The decision was made quickly. The Artemis would approach the system carefully, maintaining full defensive posture. If survivors of a lost human colony had somehow managed to endure on that hellish world, Reyes needed to know how. And more importantly, how they had developed technology beyond anything the Earth Alliance currently possessed. As they entered the star system, the true scope of what they were witnessing became clear. The fourth planet, once a barren, radiation-blasted rock, was encased in what appeared to be a translucent energy field. Orbital structures surrounded it, moving with an organic fluidity that resembled schools of fish more than manufactured satellites. "Full scan," Reyes ordered, her voice barely above a whisper. Before Chen could respond, every system on the Artemis simultaneously shut down. Darkness enveloped the bridge for 3 terrifying seconds before emergency lighting activated, bathing everything in dim blue light. "Report," Reyes demanded. "All systems are offline," Jackson replied, frantically working his console. "Wait, we're being scanned." "No, that's not right. It's like something is reading our ship's systems at the quantum level." A voice filled the bridge, though no communication channel had been opened. It resonated not just through the air, but seemed to vibrate through the metal of the ship itself. "Earth vessel, you are recognized. You may approach." Chen's instruments came back online, showing readings that made her gasp. "Captain, that was a directed quantum entanglement communication. They didn't just send a message. They temporarily entangled our ship's quantum computer with their systems." "That's impossible," Jackson whispered. "Evidently not," Reyes replied grimly. "Take us in, helmsman. Slow approach. Maintain defensive posture." As they neared the planet, the transformation became even more apparent. What historical records showed as a barren, radiation-scorched wasteland was now a world of gleaming crystalline structures and vast, interconnected networks that pulsed with energy. The atmosphere, once toxic and thin, now shimmered with a pearlescent quality that suggested extensive molecular engineering. "They terraformed the entire planet," Chen said, her voice filled with awe. "But not using any method we know. This is beyond anything in our scientific understanding." Designated landing zone appeared on their navigational systems, not transmitted through conventional means, but simply appearing as if it had always been there. Rise made the decision to land, against Jackson's protests. First contact protocols were clear. When dealing with a potentially superior force, diplomatically engage rather than risk confrontation. The landing was smoother than any Rise had experienced in her 20-year career. As the Artemis touched down on a crystalline platform that seemed to adjust its molecular structure to perfectly cradle the ship, Rise assembled a small team. Herself, Dr. Chen, Lieutenant Commander Jackson, and Security Chief Patel. They were met by three figures as they exited the ship. At first glance, they appeared human, but as they approached, the differences became apparent. Their skin had a subtle iridescence, like mother-of-pearl. Their movements were too fluid, too precise. And their eyes glowed with an inner light that shifted colors as they spoke. "Welcome, ancestors," the central figure said, her voice carrying the same resonance they had heard on the ship. "I am Ilara, third-generation overseer of Nexus Colony. We have been expecting your return for some time." Reyes stepped forward. "Captain Alina Reyes of the Earth Alliance vessel Artemis. We had no record of any surviving colony on this planet." Ilara's expression remained serene, but her eyes flashed with a brief crimson hue. "Your records are incomplete. The Esperanza colony did not perish. We evolved." Over the next few hours, as they were guided through the crystalline metropolis that covered a significant portion of the planet's surface, the story unfolded. The original colonists, desperate refugees from Earth's expansion crisis, had landed on a world that should have killed them within days. Lethal radiation, toxic atmosphere, extreme temperature fluctuations, everything about HT 219,134E was hostile to human life. In a vast chamber that seemed to be a living museum, holographic records showed the desperate measures the first colonists had taken. With limited supplies and no hope of rescue, they had turned to experimental genetic modification and cybernetic enhancement, technologies that had been restricted on Earth but were included in their scientific database as a last resort. Necessity drove evolution, Ilara explained as images of the early colonists undergoing radical modifications played out before them. The first generation modified themselves to survive. The second generation was born adapted. By the third generation, my generation, we were no longer merely surviving. We were transforming. The record showed children with neural interfaces that connected directly to the colony's systems. Adults whose bodies could withstand radiation levels that would kill an unmodified human instantly. Quantum computational networks integrated directly into human neural pathways. "This is well beyond anything the Alliance has developed," Chen whispered to Reyes. "Their technology appears to have evolved along an entirely different path than ours." Ilara overheard despite the distance between them. "We did not develop technology, Dr. Chen. We became technology. The distinction between biological and artificial became meaningless to us centuries ago." Jackson, ever the pragmatist, asked the question that had been on Reyes's mind since they landed. "And the gravity manipulation technology, the planetary shield, the quantum entanglement communication?" Ilara smiled, an expression that was almost but not quite human. "Discoveries made by the fifth generation. By then, our cognitive capabilities had expanded beyond what you would recognize as human intelligence. We think differently now." "And what exactly are you now?" Reyes asked, unable to keep a slight edge from her voice. Ilara's eyes shifted to a deep blue. "We are the Nexus. We are human, evolved. We are a collective and individuals simultaneously. We are the next step in human evolution, a step taken out of necessity rather than natural selection." As they continued their tour, it became increasingly clear that the Nexus colony had not just survived. They had mastered their hostile environments so completely that they had begun to expand. Holographic displays showed settlements on other planets in the system, each adapted specifically to the unique challenges of those worlds. "You've colonized the entire system," Rai stated, staring at a display showing a gas giant with floating cities suspended in its upper atmosphere. "We have integrated with the system," Ilara corrected. "We do not simply inhabit these worlds. We have become part of them, and they part of us." The implications were staggering. In 300 years, this lost colony had not only survived, but had evolved into something beyond human. A civilization with technology that made the Earth Alliance look primitive by comparison. As the day ended, Reyes and her team were shown to quarters that seemed to anticipate their every need. Surfaces shifted to accommodate their comfort preferences, atmospheric composition adjusted to optimal breathing conditions, and subtle lighting changes matched their circadian rhythms. "They're reading us at the cellular level," Chen marveled, watching as the room adapted around them. That night, as Reyes lay in a bed that conformed perfectly to her body, she accessed her neural implant to record her log entry, only to find that it had been seamlessly integrated with the room's systems without any action on her part. "Captain's log," she began, her thoughts automatically transcribed. "We have made contact with the descendants of the Esperanza colony. They call themselves the Nexus now, and they have evolved beyond anything we could have imagined. They have conquered this star system not through force, but through adaptation and evolution. And I cannot help but wonder what Earth will make of them, or more worryingly, what they make of us." As she drifted to sleep, Ilara's words echoed in her mind. "We have been expecting your return for some time." Not a chance encounter then. The Nexus had known they were coming. Perhaps they had even called the Artemis to them. Tomorrow would bring answers, but Ray suspected they might not be answers Earth was prepared to hear. The reckoning. Captain Rice woke to find Dr. Chen already analyzing data on a holographic display that hovered above the central table in their shared quarters. The scientist's eyes were wide with a mixture of awe and disbelief. "You need to see this, Captain," Chen said without preamble. "I've been reviewing the technical specifications they provided. Their quantum computational network doesn't just span this planet. It extends throughout the entire system. Every settlement, every installation, even what appear to be individual Nexus citizens, are all part of a vast, integrated consciousness." Reyes approached the display, studying the intricate network visualizations. A hive mind? No, not exactly. More like, Chen struggled to find the right analogy. More like a quantum neural network where each node maintains individual autonomy while simultaneously participating in a collective intelligence. They can think as individuals or as a unified entity, switching between states at will. Lieutenant Commander Jackson entered from his adjacent room, already in full uniform despite the early hour. "And that doesn't concern you. A unified consciousness that can manipulate matter at the quantum level and has already demonstrated the ability to completely disable our ship." Reyes sighed. Jackson wasn't wrong to be cautious. "We need more information before we report back to Earth Alliance. This first contact situation is unprecedented." "That's exactly my point," Jackson insisted. "Alliance protocols for lost colonies are clear. They fall under Earth jurisdiction. But these people, these Nexus, have technology centuries beyond ours. If they decided not to recognize Alliance authority." He left the implication hanging in the air. Earth's history was littered with conflicts that began when powerful nations attempted to exert control over those they considered subordinate. But never had the technological gap been this wide. Their discussion was interrupted by a gentle chime as the room's entrance dissolved, revealing Ilara standing in the corridor. Her iridescent skin seemed more pronounced in the morning light, shifting with subtle colors that somehow conveyed emotions beyond what her serene expression showed. "Your Alliance vessel has received a transmission from Earth," she stated without preamble. "They are concerned about your extended silence. We have not interfered with the signal, though we could have. Trust begins with small courtesies." Reyes felt a chill at the casual way Ilara acknowledged their technological superiority. "Thank you. We should respond immediately." "Of course. But perhaps you would like to gather more information first." Your superiors will have questions. We can provide answers. The day that followed was a whirlwind of revelations. The Nexus colony had expanded far beyond the star system. Quantum entanglement networks allowed them to maintain instantaneous communication with outposts in neighboring systems. Their energy technology had evolved past fusion to direct manipulation of quantum vacuum energy, essentially drawing power from the fabric of space-time itself. Most concerning to Rise was the Nexus's defensive capabilities. They didn't have warships or conventional weapons. They didn't need them. Their quantum manipulation technology allowed them to simply alter the physical laws within a designated space. They could, as Ilara calmly demonstrated on a small scale, temporarily suspend electromagnetic forces in a targeted area, which would instantly disable any Earth Alliance ship or weapon. "We do not seek conflict," Ilara assured them as they watched a demonstration where a small drone was rendered completely inert by an invisible field. "We have evolved beyond such primitive instincts, but neither will we submit to outside governance." That afternoon, Rice sent her report to Earth Alliance Command. She was careful to emphasize both the Nexus colony's advanced technology and their apparently peaceful intentions. She recommended a diplomatic approach rather than any attempt to assert authority over what was, technically, a lost Earth colony. The response came faster than expected. The quantum entanglement technology of the Nexus had apparently accelerated the transmission far beyond normal subspace communication speeds. Earth Alliance Command was sending a diplomatic vessel immediately, along with a military escort. "They're making a mistake," Rise told her officers after receiving the transmission. "The Alliance still thinks in terms of conventional power dynamics. They don't understand what we're dealing with here." "What exactly are we dealing with, Captain?" Security Chief Patel asked, speaking up for the first time since they'd landed. "A post-human civilization that's effectively conquered a star system and could presumably do the same to Earth if they wanted. How do we know they're as peaceful as they claim?" It was a fair question, and one that had been troubling Reyes since their arrival. "Dr. Chen, you've been analyzing their historical records. Have you found any evidence of aggressive behavior, conquest, violence against other species?" Chen shook her head. "Nothing. Their evolution seems to have been driven entirely by adaptation to harsh environments. They expanded to other planets in this system not to conquer but to diversify, to create specialized environments where different facets of their collective consciousness could develop unique characteristics. That doesn't mean they won't defend themselves," Jackson pointed out. "No," Rise agreed. "And based on what we've seen, such a defense would be devastating." When they informed Ilara about the incoming Earth Alliance delegation, her reaction was difficult to read. The colors shifting beneath her skin cycled through patterns Rise hadn't seen before. "We anticipated this response," Ilara said finally. "Your civilization still operates on hierarchical principles of dominance and submission. You conceptualize relationships in terms of power rather than mutual evolution." "Not all of us," Rise objected. Ilara's eyes softened to a warm amber. "No, not all. You seek understanding, Captain Reyes. That is why you were chosen." "Chosen?" Reyes felt a sudden unease. "What do you mean, chosen?" "Your vessel's course was subtly adjusted over the past 6 months. Imperceptible changes to your navigational systems guided you to us when the time was right." Jackson tensed visibly. "You manipulated us." "We called to one who could understand," Ilara corrected. "We have been observing Earth and its colonies for decades. Your development concerns us. Your technology advances, but your wisdom lags behind. You stand at a dangerous threshold, capable of interstellar travel and planet-wide destruction, but still driven by the same tribal instincts that nearly destroyed Earth during your history." The implications of this revelation were staggering. The Nexus had been watching Earth. They had the technology to influence systems across vast distances, and they had specifically selected the Artemis for first contact. "Why now?" Rise asked. "Why reveal yourselves after 3 centuries of isolation?" Because you are approaching a divergence point, Ilara replied. Within the next century, Earth's technology will either lead to your transcendence or your extinction. We have seen this pattern before, in our own development, and in other civilizations we have encountered. Other civilizations? Chen gasped. You've made contact with alien intelligence. Several, Ilara confirmed. Some have evolved along paths similar to ours. Others have destroyed themselves before reaching our stage of development. We wish to help humanity avoid the latter fate. 3 days later, the Earth Alliance diplomatic vessel arrived, flanked by 2 military cruisers whose presence in the system felt like an implicit threat. Ambassador Diaz, a career diplomat with a reputation for shrewd negotiation, led a delegation aboard a shuttle to the planet's surface. The meeting took place in a vast chamber whose walls seemed to capture and display the thoughts of everyone present, swirling patterns of light that revealed emotional states and unspoken intentions. It was, Rise realized, impossible to lie or dissemble in such an environment. Ambassador Diaz began with a carefully worded speech about Earth's joy at rediscovering their lost children and their hope for peaceful reintegration of the Nexus colony into the Earth Alliance. The walls of the chamber darkened perceptibly as he spoke, revealing the insincerity behind his diplomatic language. When he finished, Ilara rose. Unlike the ambassador, she wore no formal attire, her iridescent skin and flowing, almost liquid hair serving as both clothing and expression. We are not lost children to be reclaimed, she stated, her voice resonating not just through the air, but seeming to vibrate through the bodies of everyone present. We are the future of humanity, one possible future. We did not invite you here to negotiate our submission, but to offer you guidance. Ambassador Diaz's face flushed. With respect, the Esperanza colony was established under Earth authority, under Alliance law. Your laws do not apply here, Ilara interrupted, her skin flashing with patterns that conveyed concepts beyond words. We have evolved beyond your legal and political frameworks. We do not seek confrontation, but neither will we accept limitation. The ambassador's expression hardened. The Earth Alliance has jurisdiction over all human colonies in this sector. We are prepared to enforce that jurisdiction if necessary. A murmur ran through the Nexus representatives present. Rise felt a chill despite the comfortable temperature of the chamber. The ambassador was making threats he couldn't possibly back up. A fatal diplomatic error. Ilara's response was calm but tinged with something that might have been pity. To demonstrate our sincerity and the futility of conflict, we will show you a small fraction of our capabilities. Without any visible signal, the chamber's walls became transparent, revealing the sky above. The 3 Earth vessels hung in orbit, tiny specks against the vastness of space. As they watched, a subtle distortion surrounded the 2 military cruisers. Their running lights flickered and died. They began to drift, clearly powerless. We have temporarily suspended certain electromagnetic interactions within their hulls, Ilara explained. No harm has come to their crews, but they are now aware of their vulnerability. When this demonstration ends, they will have full power restored. Ambassador Diaz had gone pale. This is an act of aggression against Earth Alliance vessels. No, Ilara said firmly. This is a lesson. Had we wished to destroy your ships, they would be dust. Had we wished to harm your people, they would be dead. We wish for neither. True to her word, the cruiser's lights reactivated moments later. Emergency signals indicated they had regained full power and control. What do you want? The ambassador asked, his diplomatic veneer cracking to reveal genuine fear. Ilara's expression softened. We want what we have always wanted, to ensure the survival and positive evolution of humanity. We have chosen to reveal ourselves now because Earth stands at a crossroads. Your technology has advanced to the point where transcendence is possible, but your social and political systems remain rooted in conflict and dominance. She gestured, and a holographic display appeared in the center of the chamber, showing Earth and its colonies. We offer an exchange. Knowledge for knowledge. Understanding for understanding. We will share certain technologies that will help address Earth's environmental and resource challenges. In return, we ask for recognition of our sovereignty and open diplomatic relations. And if we refuse? The ambassador asked, though his tone suggested he already knew the answer. Then we will continue our observation from afar and hope that humanity finds its own path to transcendence. But know this, we will not allow Earth's conflicts to spread to the systems we have integrated with. Any aggressive action against us or our worlds will be met with a defensive response that your military cannot overcome. The negotiations that followed were unlike any in Earth's diplomatic history. The Nexus offered technological insights that would transform Earth's energy infrastructure and environmental restoration capabilities, but carefully withheld technologies that could be weaponized. They established clear boundaries around systems they had claimed while expressing no interest in Earth's existing colonies or territories. Captain Rice found herself in the unique position of mediator, trusted by both sides in a way the official diplomats were not. The Nexus saw in her a mind open to new possibilities. Earth saw a loyal officer with an impeccable record. 6 days after the initial meeting, a historic agreement was signed. The Nexus colony was recognized as a sovereign entity, the first post-human civilization to receive such recognition from Earth. Limited technological exchange would begin immediately, focusing on sustainable energy and environmental remediation. A permanent diplomatic presence would be established, with representatives from both civilizations working to build understanding. As the Earth delegation prepared to depart, Ilara approached Rias privately. "You have done well, Captain. Your role in this encounter was more significant than you yet understand." "I just did my job," Rias replied modestly. "No," Ilara said, her eyes shifting to a deep violet hue. "You helped birth a new relationship between ancestral humanity and evolved humanity. This is merely the beginning of a much longer journey." "What happens now?" Rias asked. "Earth will follow one of several possible paths. They may embrace the opportunity to evolve beyond their current limitations. They may resist and cling to outdated paradigms of power, or they may walk a middle path, gradually integrating the perspectives we offer." "And the Nexus? What path do you follow?" Ilara smiled, an expression that somehow conveyed both ancient wisdom and childlike wonder. "We continue our exploration of what it means to be human, what it means to be sentient. We have transcended many of the biological limitations that defined humanity, but we remain connected to our origins. We are still explorers, still seekers, still driven by curiosity and compassion." As Rias boarded the shuttle that would return her to the Artemis, she looked back at the crystalline city that housed a civilization beyond humanity yet born from it. The Nexus had conquered a star system, not through force of arms, but through adaptation and evolution. They had transformed themselves to meet the challenges of a hostile universe, rather than bending the universe to their will. And now they had returned to offer humanity a choice: continue along the path of conflict and dominance, or begin the long journey towards something greater. The Artemis departed the system the following day, but Race knew that nothing would ever be the same. Humanity had glimpsed its potential future, and that future was watching them, waiting to see what choice they would make.